France. He's doing all of this in all these different countries simply from his computer. So if you have an internet connection, you can do this. So there's a lot of confusion on what will work on Amazon and what won't work on Amazon. So don't worry, I get where you're coming from because it's hard to see the future when you're confused because it creates that, that cloudiness in your head. Chris here had the exact same problem, but he got access to my step-by-step process and ended up hitting over just $1 million in his first full year selling on Amazon. So I will clear all this confusion up for you today on this training. And by the time you finish this training today, you will understand why this business is unlike anything else out there and why your likelihood of success with an Amazon business is unlike anything you've ever tried or ever will try in the future. So when I said it's not only a game changer, but a life changer, I meant it. And all you have to do is follow my process. And guys, it is a lot easier than you think. So my simple 4-step process goes like this. Step 1, you select the product. Step 2, you source it. Step 3, you list it on Amazon. And then finally, the 4th step is launching it. Now, that's the only 4 things you need to do to make money on Amazon. Now, obviously, there's a lot of details in between those 4 things. Things like, how certain products do better than other products, how to source products very quickly and inexpensively versus sourcing them very slowly and very expensively. You could list your product on Amazon the same as, 99.9% of sellers on Amazon do right now, i.e. the YouTube watchers and the Googlers, and get below average results. Or you can do it the way I figured out how to do it and get above average results. And then finally, you have got launching. This is, your grand opening of your product. And there is a way to do it with the X factor and excitement. And then there's a way to do it, well, nobody knows you even exist, okay? If you can follow those 4 steps, those 4 things, and access the details in between them, then you will reap the rewards from it and you will get that financial freedom you've always wanted. So that is the what. Who is the who? I am the who. For those of you who don't know me already or follow my social media channels, my name is Jay and I am the founder of The Ka-Ching Effect and I will be your webinar host today. I have been a lot of things in my life. I am the father to 2 amazing French bulldogs and yes, I treat them like children. I am absolutely ridiculous with them, but everywhere I go, they come with me. They're in the office with me. In fact, they're in the office with me right now, in the car with me, they travel with me, they fly with me, they come on vacations with me. You get where I'm going with this. I am super attached to my baby girls. This here is Stella, who's the eldest of the 2. She's very lazy, loves to just nap all day. And as you can see, when she finally wakes up from sleeping for most of the day, she loves to use the pool to go for a little bit of surfing. Okay, actually, I'll be honest, she absolutely hated at that surfboard, but it was a cool picture, so I had to take it. This is Coco. She's, of course, the youngest, and we can still, we kind of still call her puppy, even though she isn't really a puppy anymore. She is the complete and utter opposite of Stella, and frankly, she's a little nuts, but she's a bundle of energy. Now, I'm not academic. I am definitely not book smart, and I didn't go to university. Well, actually, no, let me rephrase that. I couldn't get into university. So I ended up in the construction industry just like everyone in my family did because that's what my dad did and his dad before him did. And I eventually ended up building my own small construction company. So those pictures you see there are kind of like action shots of my small team. And, it was one of our first ever roofing jobs. Now, at the time, everything felt like it was going right until my accountant informed me that actually the business was hemorrhaging money, which I then later found out was because the people who were working for me were also stealing from me. So the guys you see on the screen there were the ones stealing all the materials we were buying so they could use them on their own private jobs after hours. And those private jobs were also for clients they had stole from my business. But by the time I found out, it was too late. I had so many bills due. I had merchants like MChem, Travis Perkins, Juicens, due a huge amount of money, all from the materials that had been purchased. It all just came crashing down. And the business was eventually put into liquidation. I would say at that point, I was going through what I would say one of the darkest periods of my life was. I had lost my job, my income, my first business was an absolute failure. It got liquidated. It's not even put into administration, just liquidated. The letter you see there on the screen was a copy of the exact report to creditors that the liquidators gave to pretty much everyone, adding to the humiliation. I was left with nothing. I had zero money to my name. The whole idea of saving for a rainy day fund never really occurred to me because, to be honest, I never thought it would happen. So I had to move back in with my parents, and all that was left in my name was an old storage unit full of junk from my old construction site jobs. Which, truth be told, I don't think I was ever actually allowed to keep that stuff. And I'll be brutally honest, I was depressed, I was embarrassed, and I felt completely, humiliated. I would even go out and see my friends because I completely lost my confidence. One of the worst parts for me was telling my girlfriend at the time, who by the way is now my wife, that we had to move back and live with my parents because I couldn't even afford to put a roof over our heads or even put bread on the table. She was also still studying at a local college and could barely get by herself, let alone try and help me. So that picture you see there is the exact contents I had in my storage unit. That was everything I had left in my name. It's not painful looking back at it now because I actually got a huge buzz and a tremendous amount of motivation from it. In fact, I actually have a picture of that storage unit in every one of my offices on the wall because it reminds me of what happened, but also how it all began. But also at the time, it obviously wasn't motivating. It led to some very dark days where I didn't even want to get in my bed. But now it's the complete opposite. So after spending a lot of time feeling sorry for myself, I picked myself up, started selling absolutely everything I had in that storage unit and everything in my apartment I had to move out of. Truth be told, I could not believe people were buying the stuff in that storage unit because it was a heap of absolute junk. I started selling platforms like Gumtree, Craigslist, and eBay, and I started making that good amount of money from it. I was like, oh, I could turn this into a proper business. So I then started going to all these auctions that were happening around different parts of Scotland, similar auctions that would have happened to my office stuff when I got liquidated, I have to fire sale it all. So for example, I would go to one of these auctions and I bought this brand new gym equipment for a very low price. And then I would go and sell it on Gumtree and eBay for profit. So one of the best items I ever bought from one of these auctions was the Reebok stepper, as you can see in the middle picture above. I bought each stepper for £4 and sold them on eBay and Gumtree for £47. Same goes with the Techno Gym stepper you see there, but in this case, I didn't sell them online. I actually found a local gym here in Scotland and they bought the whole thing in bulk. So everything was going great. The only problem at the time was it required way too much effort. It was way too much of my own time and I didn't have anywhere to keep storing all this inventory. But little did I know at the time, it was all about to come to an end. Introducing Lazy Sue. Believe it or not, this table right here changed my entire life. Unknown to me at the time, obviously, but I was actually attending my last ever auction. I turned up to this auction in Scotland and I set my eyes on these tables you see right here in this picture. Now, this picture is just some of the Lazy Sue tables I purchased and were in my parents' garage after they got delivered from the auction. Anyway, I was at the auction, I googled these tables on my phone, and I noticed they were retailing for £120 and £200 each. And at that auction, I could get them for £20 per table. The inexperienced and greedy me just saw all this profit flash in front of my eyes, and I purchased every single one of these with all the money I had made to date without even thinking about it. However, what I didn't realize until after I purchased them was just how difficult they were to sell. I couldn't sell them on Gumtree or Craigslist because nobody wanted to pick up such a huge item or pay for delivery. eBay was just as bad because the delivery costs were eating into my profit, and the type of customers on eBay were just not really that interested in buying a big Lazy Sue picnic table. It felt like it was all happening again. It was all going in the right direction, then boom, all falls apart. I literally put everything I made from my new little venture and selling off all the contents into buying a ridiculous amount of these Lazy Sue picnic tables. I was stuck and I had no idea what to do. On top of that, I was taking up so much storage in my parents' garage, I still had more tables being stored at the auction warehouse and they were charging me every day I didn't pick them up. So I started Googling all these places I could store all these tables for a temporary solution until I could sell them, and what popped up changed my life. Amazon FBA. Long story short, I clicked on the link, I started reading up on it, and then I spoke to someone about Amazon, and what they said was remarkable. They told me exactly what Amazon can do for me, and it started with me listing my product on their website. Then they would arrange UPS to pick up my products and then take them to the Amazon warehouse where they would store them, and once they sold, they would ship them directly to the customer. I had literally no other options, so I had to go for it. I had no choice. So I did. I went for it. 2 days later, UPS turned up to my parents' house, loaded the tables into the van, and drove off. A few days later, I checked Amazon, and they were live on their site. Within 2 weeks, every single table had sold. I even raised the price to £300 per table for the last batch, and they all still sold out as well. I was genuinely shocked. That is when I realized this is something huge. I felt this without a doubt was my biggest opportunity to become a millionaire. What started as a huge hurdle